It may seem a little weird to talk about dividing by zero at this point since you're in algebra and I'm going to show you an arithmetic problem. But I want to make a big impression on you about this because there are lots of misunderstandings about division by zero, which can affect your results. Alright, so first of all, let's take 0 and divide by a number. What's 0 divided by 5? Okay. So how many times does 5 go into 0? You think, well, that's got to be 0, right? 0 divided by a number is 0. How do we know that? Well, the way division works, how did you learn division? You probably learned division, I'm sure, after you learned multiplication. And division is sort of an opposite to multiplication. So, for example, if you took 36 divided by 9 and got 4, you learn that because 9 times 4 is equal to 36. And so 0 divided by 5 is 0 because 5 times 0 is 0. Well, what they don't talk about in elementary school, I'm sure, is what if you switch these? What would it mean to divide by 0? So let's turn that around and ask this question. What is 5 divided by 0? And I'm going to write it as a fraction, because a fraction is an uncompleted division, but it means 5 divided by 0. What is it equal to? Well, I've thrown this out to many classes, and someone usually says, well, it's 0. All right, you sort of get programmed to think that whenever you see 0, something's going to be 0. So what if it was 0? Is that possible? I hope you're thinking, no, it's not possible, because when I go to check it, 0 times 0 does not give me 5. It gives me 0. So that can't be right. And then you must say, well, what can we put here in order to make this work? And the answer is nothing fits there. Since 0 times a number is 0, there's nothing we can put here that would give us 5 in return. So 5 divided by 0, actually anything divided by 0 is going to be a problem. And books tend to call these undefined operations. So it's undefined or undefined operation. All right. There's kind of a weird exception even to this. If you think about what's 0 divided by 0, now things get strange. Because 0 divided by 0 looks like it could be equal to 0, couldn't it? Since 0 times 0 is 0. But also, what about 13? Couldn't 0 divided by 0 be 13? Of course it could, because 0 times 13 is 0. So what's the issue here? When you have 0 divided by 0, it turns out that any number would fit. Well, we can't define this to be a specific answer, since it appears that everything works. So in mathematics, we call the 0 divided by 0 situation, we call that an indeterminate form. Indeterminate form. And there are a number of indeterminate forms in mathematics. You would learn about these if you started taking calculus. When you get to about third quarter calculus, you learn about indeterminate forms. Actually, this indeterminate form shows up at the beginning of calculus. The differential calculus is literally based upon resolving these situations where you get extremely close to the 0 over 0 form. All right, well, that's as you might expect, that's a pretty long story, and it's calculus, so we'll leave that alone. We don't try to put meaning on 0 divided by 0 in calculus. What happens is that we approach this situation and then look to give it meaning. So anyway, a long story. We'll stay away from that here. But this you're not going to face in this course. So don't worry about indeterminate forms for now. But you will occasionally face division by 0. This is why I want to make a big splash here, because I want you to really get that in your head. When you have a non-zero number divided by 0, we cannot calculate it. It's an impossible computation.